Welcome to our world. Won't you come on in? Waiting just for you. Welcome to our world.
Sound just a little tinny.
Oh,
This is
okay.
with the ones that are
Well,
which
I'm
microphone is
recording.
this?
And you know what? No, let's talk. Which microphone am I using?
Yeah.
I'm not. That sounds dumb. This is my headphones.
Oh,
My Bluetooth headphones.
yeah, now they don't sound as good as they did a minute ago.
What do you no, they didn't sound good. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
They never sounded good.
Maybe they sounded better than the built-in microphone and the laptop.
I don't know. This is what we're working with though. And I want to make it really clear today that while I'm the one that has poor audio quality, which I apologize for, Jim is the one that is not in the studio. So make it make sense.
I'm
I
on the
don't get it.
road.
And I'm annoyed. He's on the road and I sound like I'm on the road. I sound like I'm on a plane, like
Yeah.
thousands of feet up in the air. So that's super
Yep.
annoying, but
Yeah.
whatever. Okay. Well, I'm gonna be so honest. I Do you have an idea for today's
I w
episode?
I was gonna I no, I was gonna say if you
Okay,
didn't have
great.
one already, I'm sure I can come up with something, but
I have concepts of a plan.
okay.
I have Okay, here's how I would like to begin this. I would like to begin this by asking you how often you think about the Roman Empire.
The only time probably I ever think about the Roman Empire is maybe sometimes when I'm gonna play Age of Empires,
Sure.
and that's it.
The Romans are a really good civilization.
Yeah, but I have not, the Roman Empire, and I kind of for some reason, and I'm not saying this makes any sense, I lump the Roman and the Greek empires together because they mean the
Oh,
same thing to me.
explains so much.
Okay, very funny. Hello,
Yeah.
world.
Well, anyway, like I was saying, I
Yes.
don't remember what I was saying.
Okay.
No, okay. So we're having some audio issues, obviously, everyone. We apologize. This is so unprofessional, and it's not the kind of people that we want to be. That's really
I don't
stressing
think it
me
sounds
out.
bad.
I think it sounds horrendous. And
It's
if I
not as
started
good.
listening to a podcast
It's
with
not
this,
as
I would turn it off.
professional. It's not as professional as it normally is, but it's not horrible.
Yes, I want to make it clear that it's just this week that you'll be hearing this audio. And next week, when Jim is back, it'll be back to normal.
What matters more is content.
So, anyway, so you don't know what the Roman Empire thing is.
No, wait,
Right.
we start this whole thing from the beginning. The
No,
Roman
because I liked the beginning of the last one. So the Roman Empire, there was this trend on TikTok maybe last year or maybe it was 2 years ago. I don't know, time flies when you're not paying attention to anything that happens in life. I don't actually know where it originated, but pretty much I don't know, maybe like a girl asked her boyfriend randomly one day, "How often do you think about the Roman Empire?" And he responded very seriously. He responded, "Oh, every day. What are you talking about? I think about this all the time." Okay.
He had to
And
be
s
joking. This could not be serious.
Dad, but then okay, and this kind of comes into the bigger picture of what I would like to talk about, I think, in general with all this. But then it became this whole trend of girls asking their boyfriends or husbands or brothers or fathers how and it is gender related, "How often do you think about the Roman Empire?"
Okay.
And 9 times out of 10, the guy responding, literally every day. And then not just saying every day and laughing about it, saying, "Oh, every day." And then going into a very specific, like, how did their aqueducts work? And, like and all that, like, a very specific thing that they were impressed with by the Roman Empire.
Well, I mean, okay, the Romans were very impressive.
Yes,
I mean,
I agree.
I agree with that. You know, they had
But
indoor
so
plumbing. They had indoor plumbing and all, right?
they did, sure.
Yeah, I mean,
And
that's impressive.
and so then this turned into a larger trend where for women, people were turning it around and saying, "What is your quote unquote Roman Empire? What is something that you think about every day?"
Mhm.
And so that's like, if you hear, obviously you have not, but if you would hear someone say like, "Oh, that's my Roman Empire," or
Oh, no,
ask you,
I
"What is
mean,
your Roman Empire?" So for you, for example, your Roman Empire is Frozen. You
well,
understand?
no, not as much as it used to be, but still kind of. I mean,
But you
for a long time, if I was walking somewhere and even in the on the periphery of my vision, there was something like an merchandise or whatever, I would
Mhm.
immediately see it. It's like the colors that went with the movie. I would spot it right away.
Sure. Okay. So anyway, so as I said,
Midge, by
what?
the way, coincidentally, I was looking on eBay a little while ago.
Yes.
I mean, there are items still going for thousands of dollars related to that movie, just so
That's
you know. I didn't buy any of them, but
anyway, so that is my first kind of example there. Okay. And
yes.
then my second my second question for you is who who I wish you were here so I could see your facial
I
expression when I ask this.
we could have done the video, but I'm on a hotspot, so I don't wanna waste my bandwidth.
It's fine. My question for you is, who would win in a fight?
Okay.
One gorilla or 100 men?
You know, I would okay, first of all, this weird question, and is this the thing too? Because I've heard people say something about a gorilla and a guy. I would hope 100 men. If it was like
Okay.
3 men or a gorilla, I'd say maybe the gorilla would have a better chance. 100 men? I mean, well, it depends who the 100 men are.
Well, that's true, I guess. That's a valid point. I have seen, and I'm not even, this is another social media thing, okay, that became popular. And I first heard of it on TikTok, and I haven't seen a lot of videos or anything about this, but one of the videos that I saw, 'cause this is a very, very hotly debated topic. People, there's a very large subset that believes the gorilla's winning every time, and the other subset believes, obviously 100 men, kinda like you were saying, it's 100 men. You would
Mhm.
assume that the 100 men would win.
I would hope.
Someone Someone did, because no, though, because gorillas are so strong,
I
and
know
with,
that.
like, a swipe of his arm, he could take out, like, 10 to 15 men at once and all this stuff,
Swipe
okay?
of his mighty arm.
Really though, okay? So this is what people are all discussing, and the one video, because I was on the gorilla's side originally. I was like, "It's a
Mhm.
gorilla. I don't know what we're talking about here." But then someone, I don't think I saved this, maybe I could find it because you would love this. Like a picture and a video kind of showing how the 100 men could win if they all were like, if they split into different groups and each group had like a task that they were supposed to do. So you have one group that's like distracting the gorilla and another group that's coming around from the back and all this stuff.
Is one of the groups like the sacrificial group? You know?
Kind of, actually. That's so funny.
And I
Oh,
guess and the group of men are not allowed, I'm assuming, to have weapons of any kind.
oh, I don't know, actually. I'm not that deep in it. I don't know what the rules are for
Because
this.
'cause I feel like as far as this, like, this battle has already taken place many times over, and it's
Mhm,
like
sure.
humans won, but, um, yeah, but, I mean, every time you go to the zoo, I guess, it's like, "Well, I guess we won. They're in jail." Kind of
Okay, I have actually, let's leave it there for right now because I I think with all of this, kind of my greater topic idea is about social media influence in general and
Mhm,
how trends even begin? How do things catch on? So, for example, when let's take the Roman Empire example, start with the first one. And it's like, what about that made other people say to themselves, I have to recreate this. I have to know if my dad thinks about the Roman Empire every day.
it's yeah, like, why do things go viral?
For sure.
'Cause right? Because that's what happens.
Do you have an answer?
No, I just when you said this,
Okay.
there's so many no, there's so many thoughts that go through my head, but they're all like ancillary thoughts. They're little tangents on this, which I could talk about those, but I don't wanna change the topic and mess this up if you're going somewhere with this.
No, I don't have I this is just my general idea. If you have other like little
I think
things
social
on
media
it
is just weird. I think social media in general is weird. It's not it's not and and here's the funny thing, I was actually thinking about this morning because, uh okay, I
about the
started
Roman
off
Empire.
I'm watching a TED Talk about, like, AI and basically, like, more or less saying, "We need to get a handle on this, and there need to be some rules in place and stuff.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you know, it's not good." Like, basically what could happen. And the example that the guy gave, he said, was social media. He said, "Where in the very beginning, people said, 'Oh, you'll be able to connect with old friends.'" Like, they were only looking at the positives, right? "You'll be able to
Mhm.
reconnect with old friends, you know, it's just that you'll be able to stay in touch and all this kind of stuff." And no one talked about the isolation. Now people would never go out and they wouldn't meet face to face or the bullying or things like that would happen,
You
you know?
you said this was a TED Talk?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure I've listened to this TED Talk. I
This
think I
guy was
know. Yeah.
this guy and I didn't notice how old it was, so it may have been a year old for all I know or something like that, but it was really good. And you know, I'm very like, you know, like I think about the potential of AI, right? Like for
Mhm.
the good things. But it's true, like, you know, like he said, for instance, for the Manhattan Project, they had, like, 50 geniuses basically that got together that created the atomic bomb, right? Which was obviously I mean, for humanity, you would say is not good in general, right?
Right.
Like, it ended the war, but it's not a good thing. And he's saying, so now imagine a million geniuses who can work way faster, like, just the good or bad things that could come out of that, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Mm. So, but yeah, but it goes back to, you know, it kind of it's funny that the example is social media, where instead of having like more rules in place and things like that, like for instance, like age limits, you know, for kids and all, that all of a sudden you have kids on social media and, you know, where they're getting bullied and all that, where not that kids never got bullied at school, but it's much worse through social media, you know?
Yeah. I kind of feel like every because as you're talking, I'm thinking all the same things. Obviously, there are a lot of good things that can come from social media, and how you're talking about now you have a million geniuses all working on the same problem and all that.
Uh-huh.
I feel like we know there are a lot of bad things. I feel like social media, what's the word? It really emphasizes the I'm trying to think of the right way to say this because I don't want this to only be like a negative thing, but it emphasizes the qualities that you already have as a person.
Like amplifies, in other words.
Yeah, so like if you have and I'm just using this because it's probably one of the most common arguments against a lot of uses for social media is like if you have a poor self-image and the argument's made that well, social media is bad for your mental health then because all you see are people with these perfect lives and all this stuff. First of all, obviously we know that these people's lives are not perfect and they're just a curation for the rest of the world of what the world wants to see or what they think the world wants to see. But if you have those negative images of yourself, then how you are on social media, it just like you said, it amplifies them. And so if I have poor self-esteem, I'm going to act on social media in a way that portrays that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. No, I agree with
And
what I agree with what you just said. I feel like if someone's good and they have good qualities, right, it can amplify that too. Um,
you know
but
what this is like?
what?
Just the way you said that, it's like Steve Rogers when the doctor gives him the
Oh, yeah,
serum and he says, that good becomes however he says it, good
yep,
becomes great and bad becomes evil. That's definitely not what he says,
yeah,
but it's
yeah,
something along those lines. It just makes you more of the person that you already are.
yep,
Yeah.
yeah. I agree with that completely because if you look at social media or any of those things, there are very good things, right, that can come out of it if you're a
Mhm.
good person. I think the problem is with this, the AI thing with a million geniuses. Okay, what if it's a million evil geniuses, right? Like like,
Like
seriously.
Mojo Jojo.
Yes, yeah, yes,
Mhm,
exactly, like
mhm.
Mojo Jojo or Bubbles as Mojo Jojo.
Yep.
Okay, we should insert that clip in there, just remember that, we have to
I
insert that,
I will not. Maybe we
Bubbles
will.
as Mojo Jojo.
I'm not Bubbles! Bubbles is not my name! For the name Bubbles is not the correct name to address me by, because it is not my name! If you were to address me by the name Mojo Jojo, that would be correct, for my name is Mojo Jojo!
But yeah, I
Mm,
don't know, I'm just thinking about people. Like, there are a lot of people that use social media for really good things, and I think that's just because they were already good people and they found a resource, and I'm not trying to put people in boxes like you have good people and bad people, but, like, the good things in that person, they felt strongly enough about that they were like, "I social media can help me spread my message, and so I'm going to use that in a good way," you know? And
yep,
and then you have people that are that I don't wanna say they're not good people, but people that are not sending the best message,
uh-huh,
but they're getting a big following from
yeah.
whatever it is they're
When
doing.
you have so many people that, right, their goal is just to make money, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, they just wanna build a following, they'll say anything they have to say, or they'll do anything they have to do just to get followers, you know?
Yep.
And if you look at some of the most popular people on social media, these are terrible, horrible people, and honestly, I never understand some of them why they even have why people wanna follow them or why people
I
look up to them.
It's funny because I was just thinking that too, and I think a lot of it is more the fascination with the person than,
Mhm.
like, actually wanting to be like
Like
them or
watching a
something like
fire.
that. Yes, like you're watching, like, a train wreck, you just can't look away. You
Yeah,
have to see what happens next, and
yeah.
honestly, like, I personally on social media and I actually might have said this on the podcast last week, but I know I said this to you. If someone I see someone consistently on social media and I'm really not on social media at all anymore. Like I said, I just use TikTok and X pretty much. Those are my 2 forms of social media. But if I'm
You
on those
record the
things,
podcast for
well,
social
yeah,
media.
you know what I mean, though. I mean, like, as an individual,
You don't
like,
consume social
promoting myself. Yeah, like, I don't consume a lot of stuff like that. But if I
media.
am on and I see someone that's consistently doing something that I do not think is I don't know, like, that I don't think should be given a platform,
Mhm.
then I just block them. And I'm obviously not changing the world by blocking people that I've never interacted with these people. Maybe they're great people in real life. If I see their content on my feed, I'm like,
I don't
it
wanna see
it
that.
I don't wanna see that. And I keep getting shown it and I don't have to see it, so I'm just gonna block you.
Yeah,
And, that works or whatever. But
yeah,
yeah, I feel like it's really weird because I wonder and maybe I should look this up really quickly. I'm going to look this up really quickly because the big thing is that they call, these social media people influencers, and that really bothers me. How do you
mhm.
feel about it?
It bothers me too, but the problem is that it's sad, but they are. And you think about it, right? Okay, it bothers me now because these people, some of them come out of nowhere, some of them maybe already were famous.
Mhm.
You think about it, and we've had so, influencers, I mean, they just went by a different name, right? Like celebrities, sports stars, right?
Mhm.
And, so just because someone is famous, they get paid ridiculous amounts of money to endorse a product or to make a commercial, right?
Mhm.
And it's like the same thing now, except I don't know. We'd say some of these people have accomplished pretty much nothing other than they're really weird. So, they're
Right.
that fire that you can't look away from or the train wreck that you can't look away from. It just bugs me. Why am I not the famous one endorsing products and getting dollars?
I mean, I'll tell you, it's because you won't make a video for our podcast. Next
Why?
question.
Yes, yes. This is the first step. Now we're digging in more to like different options here for recording. So,
I know, yeah, seriously. But, yeah, just looking this up really quickly, it's talking about early influencers were initially internet personalities who gained traction through quote unquote authentic content and relatable personas on platforms like MySpace and early blogs. And it's funny because I don't even think about obviously early blogs you could argue because like I know Meghan Markle had or maybe she still has a blog. I don't know, but like that's part of how she gained fame and all that was through a blog.
mhm.
I don't remember there being MySpace influencers and obviously you don't, that
I mean, I
wasn't
don't remember. I mean, I'm sure there probably were. Probably not to the scale that they are now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember that at all. But it says that the word influencer was officially recognized in dictionaries in 2019.
Yeah.
And so
Um,
that's
but I mean, like I said, it's so that's more or less just the term
right.
because, I mean, God, you could go back probably 50 years and you still had more
That's
than
true.
that actually, right? Like we go back to somebody like Shirley Temple, right?
Mhm.
That they had dolls and stuff like that.
I think
So
okay,
technically
but I
she was
think
an influencer.
that's kind of but then I don't know because if you're arguing that, then the connection is that every movie star is an influencer, and is that what you're suggesting?
Yes. That's exactly what I'm saying.
I don't see, I don't
If they wanna be. If they wanna be.
I'm not saying that they wouldn't play that role of quote unquote an influencer. Obviously, they promote different products and they're in ads and all this stuff. But if I say the word, and maybe this is a generational thing, I don't know. If I say the word influencer, I'm thinking about a social media person.
Well, yeah. No, I get
I'm
that.
not thinking about like George Clooney. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Okay. Would you like to speak?
Yeah, I just
That's
raised my
how
hand.
we are recording this because again, we apologize for the audio. We're recording this on Google Meet, and you have the option to raise your hand in Google Meet, and that's what Jim has just done. Yes, Jim?
Yeah. Now one thing, this is kind of off the subject a little bit because it's getting back to what we were talking about before with that,
Mhm.
with that AI podcast or not AI podcast,
The TED Talk.
the TED Talk. Think think about it, right? So, hold on, I forgot what I was thought it was phone to say. Hold on, give me
Uh,
a second. Give me a sec.
mhm.
Give me a minute.
Alrighty.
So, oh man, it was right there. I kept thinking of it as we were talking about other stuff. It's like, oh, I want to bring this up. I want to bring this up.
Okay, well, I don't know. Whenever you think of it, just raise your hand again. I'll call on you.
Yeah.
But, because going back to then, stuff with the Roman Empire, I think stuff like that obviously
No,
gains traction. What? Oh, go ahead, Jim.
I raised my hand again.
Yes.
Hold on. Okay.
Go ahead. What is it?
Hold on.
I don't know why you're laughing. I have no idea why he's laughing.
Since I forgot again.
Okay, so going back to
Maybe when you said the wrong material. Hold on.
going back to the Roman Empire, I think part of what makes that trend or like trends like that catch on is because it's an interesting thing, first of all, because it's like, oh, that's really weird that he said he thinks about the Roman Empire every day. I wonder if my brother or my dad thinks about the Roman Empire every day.
Yep.
And then just kind of like wanting to see if that's applicable to people in your life and all that. But then it's also just kind of like a funny thing because and this happens
Yeah.
with trends after they go viral and everything, you have the original trend and then you have, this whole life cycle where it turns into something else. So like I said, so now you say my Roman Empire is the
Yeah.
Powerpuff Girls. Like that's
Yeah.
just a term, which it's not, but I'm just saying we're
Yeah.
just talking about
Yeah.
that. But it's a term that you now use to refer
Mhm.
to something that and maybe
You're
not you,
constantly
not everybody,
thinking
but
of, constantly on
yes,
your mind. Well,
yes, and it's crazy.
the one thing that's constantly on wait, let me raise my hand.
Go
Okay. Okay, so I got it. So
okay.
you know how with and then we'll go back to the Roman Empire thing, not
Mhm.
emperor. Um,
Nero.
so going back to the thing of, like, nuclear weapons, right? And pretty much early on, everyone agreed that these are not good. But think
Right.
about what happened, right? You had the arms race between the Soviet Union and the United States. And the reason was because both sides thought if they stopped, then the other side would basically take over the world, right?
Mhm.
They would win. They could potentially, just bomb the other country and they could take over. And with AI, it's the same thing, right? So everybody is like, this is really dangerous. We don't know exactly how this works. This this could end very badly and all that. But now instead of just having two sides, the Soviet Union and the United States,
Mhm.
you have you have many different companies, okay, within mainly the United States and China, but then you have the China and the United States, and I'm sure there are other countries too. So it's even worse is what I'm saying, and that's the way they won't the reason they won't stop is because they're afraid if they stop, then the other companies or the other country will not be honest, and they'll say that they're going to stop or they're gonna have these regulations where it has to be, go through some kind of governing body or whatever, international approval before they release it, but they feel like they really won't do that. So, anyway, that was the only thing I wanted to say that I couldn't remember for 3 times.
I
Um,
hope Thank you for that. I hope you all enjoyed our preview of next week's episode on our continuation of AI.
yeah, okay. Every week it, like, comes up, but hot topic no matter what. Um,
I also well, no, since I'm just thinking more about no, it definitely is, and that's obviously a good point you make about
mhm,
the access to information, and that's a good thing, but then it also leads to potentially more wars or heightened wars because now everybody's on edge about, well, are they doing this? And I have to do this first and all that stuff.
yeah, and
So
when
I
you
think
don't
that's
feel
a
like
little
you can trust the other side,
yeah.
you know,
Okay,
um,
but so back to one gorilla versus 100 men.
okay.
What's your main argument for it? Just
The
the
reason
the
I think 100
number, the sheer number?
the reason I think yeah, just so many. I mean, put it this way, even even if the gorilla can just wipe out a guy or a couple guys by just swinging his enormous arms, powerful arms, right?
Mhm.
By the time he gets maybe 50 guys in, he's starting to get tired
He
of just
is. That's an argument a lot of people make.
yeah,
Yes.
he's starting to get tired and out of breath of just beating guys, and I feel like at one point or another, they'd be able to overwhelm him. The problem is, right, like a gorilla think about it, when 2 people fight, and this does not go for everyone, but most people are somewhat civilized, right? So, the immediate thing now this is assuming the other one person isn't maybe Mike Tyson, right? But you're not immediately gonna start biting the other person or bite their ear off, for instance,
No.
right? You're going to, like, kind of fight a clean fight or fight fair, so you might punch the person or whatever, but you're not gonna try to gouge their eyes out, right?
Sure.
Like, you're not trying to literally kill the person normally or permanently disable them. The gorilla is not thinking, "Well, I just wanna stop you from hurting me." They're trying to either immediately kill you or eat you. I think the gorilla would immediately be, like, using his mouth and biting people and
Ooh.
ripping their hearts out and stuff. Like,
That's a
he'd be like
well, that's violent, but that's a really good point you make because the few simulations I've seen that people have taken the time to make on this topic,
"Huh?
none of them he's not being sounds dumb. He's not being violent in any of them. He's actually being very humane and, like,
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah."
punching people and
Literally
knocking them out of the
literally
way.
Yeah, it's almost like they met in the middle of the ring first, and they said, "We're gonna have a clean fight here, no hitting below the belt," that kinda stuff.
Uh,
That's
yeah.
not no. It's like,
Okay.
no.
Anyway, I don't know. In general, I feel like all of this stuff is kind of it if people had more things to do with their lives, they wouldn't go on social media so much.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
to kind of wrap this up, this was a couple of months ago that there was a video I saw. I don't remember what the video was about. I have no recollection of what the actual video was about, but I had no idea what this woman was talking about or like
Uh,
anything that she was referring to in this video.
uh-huh.
And I was grateful for that because that means that I don't spend too much time on social media, right? But then
Uh-huh.
I go to the comments to get some, explanation of what am I watching right now. And one of the top comments, someone had said, "I'm employed. What does this mean?" And I think that pretty much sums up how I
Uh-huh.
feel about a lot of
Uh-huh.
social media
Yeah.
in general.
Yep.
It's like you all have
Yep.
too much time on your hands to be doing
You know what?
stuff like this.
You know what? No, and that's a good point. I think the problem is, in general, people have way more time than they used to have,
Yeah,
and it's not good. Like,
no,
so far, these people with all this time are not becoming productive. They're not inventing things or whatever.
no, they're not.
Well, I'm gonna look at the one here that's 1,000,000 SpongeBob versus something.
Okay, anyway, so this wraps up our conversation on social media and stuff like that. We would love to get your opinion, how strongly or not strongly you feel about stuff like this. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it somewhere in the middle?
Yeah.
And that's the end of today's episode because we'll see you on Friday because we're
Yep.
going back to 2 episodes a week.
Yeah,
Woo!
and I haven't watched this yet, but leave in the show notes who you would think who would win
In the comments, yeah.
battle between 1,000,000 SpongeBob versus 1,000,000 Plankton.
Easily 1 million plankton. What are you talking
I
about?
don't know.
Okay, anyway, we'll see you on Friday. Have a great week,
Bye.
everyone.
Goodbye. Right?
Well, can you just watch the video I just
Okay. This is in a text message.
No.
Okay, wait. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, first of all, that gorilla is huge. That gorilla is bigger. What are these all like? Hold on, these are like pygmy people, pygmy guys. Okay, nobody can see this though.
I know, I said I'll cut this out.
Include
Oh, man.
include this link in the show notes.
Maybe I would.
He's
Oh,
only
man.
going up and down though. I think he should be swinging side to side.
I
And here's
agree.
the
Okay.
thing. Okay, I'm gonna stop.